Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's me, it's Clayton, and I just got back from seeing Get Out, directed by Jordan Peele of Key and Peele. And I have to say, it's probably one of the most, I wouldn't say original, but one of the more enjoyable horror films I've seen in recent years. I don't think it deserves 100% from Rotten Tomatoes, but I definitely believe it is a good film that you should definitely watch. But let's get to the story, shall we? The story is about a couple, Chris and Rose, played by Daniel Kaluuya, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, and Allison Williams. Chris has gotten to a point in his relationship where he's going to meet his girlfriend's mother and father, who have no idea that he is a black man. So, when Chris and Rose happen to arrive at her parents' estate, the family seems to be pretty friendly, a bit awkward, but friendly nonetheless to Chris. But throughout his visit with Rose's parents, he notices some strange things going on around the house. He notices how strange the parents are acting, how odd it is to see a couple of servants around, and he makes it his mission to find out what's going on at this estate and why the family is just acting so dang weird. And to tell you any more would be spoiling a huge chunk of the plot, so I'll stop right here. The thing I liked about this movie is that since it was directed by Jordan Peele, one half of Key and Peele, the film knows when to be scary and when to be funny. Because even though it's a horror film and it's very effective with its scares, it happens to pull off some great comedic moments as well. I mean, and the great thing is that the comedy never feels out of place with the horror. It knows what scenes and what lines that'll make the audience laugh to relieve the tension between scenes, or to get the audience, laughing before the real scares start. And it knows how to make an effective scare without it seeming out of place or cheesy or corny, which is really saying something considering how far this movie goes with its premise and how unexpected some of the twists are. I thought all the actors did a great job. Daniel Kaluuya, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, is probably the absolute best as Chris, and I had absolutely no idea he was an English actor. He was able to hide his accent very, very well. Allison Williams was also great as Rose, and you can easily see great chemistry between the two. I could totally buy that they were a couple and that they've been together for a while. And the actors who played Rose's parents also did a good job. Both of them could be very friendly, but at times very creepy as well. Again, very fitting. And one of Chris's friends, named Rod Williams, is, in my opinion, the funniest character in the movie. And he might seem like a typical comic relief character when you first see him, but he actually plays a very integral role to the plot, and it's pretty much an example of how to write a comic relief character without it seeming out of place and without it seeming completely forced, just to so to say. So what else is there to say about the film? Well, I definitely thought that the film did a good job making it seem like it had a decent budget without having the effects overplay the action. Because while there are special effects thrown throughout the film, especially for a few trippy sequences that I wouldn't dare spoil for you, most of the movie is confined to this one location, except for a few scenes near the beginning and the end and a couple interspersed in between. But despite the fact that the film has a few limited locations, Get Out makes good use of them. It makes sure the locations have a lot of personality and detail, so that you aren't tired of seeing the same places in the film over and over and over again. I also like how the film's very self-aware with its style of humor. You pretty much expect that, considering Jordan Peele directed it. But it points out the cliches of horror films, like jump scares and strange families, and certain things that are obviously creepy that come back later. I mean, it points out a lot of the cliches, and you can tell that some of these characters have probably seen a bunch of these types of movies. But despite its self-awareness, it doesn't take away from the actual horror and the actual creepiness. And while there aren't a lot of just straight-up scream and, scream your head off scares, the movie has a creepy atmosphere throughout, and a lot of that has to do with the great sound design and the very eerie music. I gotta tell him, for a comedy director, he has absolutely every right note when it comes to directing a horror film. So yeah, I basically don't have any real problems with this film. I think it's probably one of the best horror films I've seen in a couple of years. So if Jordan Peele decides to make some more movies that are outside his comfort zone, I'd love to see them, because even though I loved his film that he did with Keegan Michael Key, Keanu, last year, I felt that that wasn't his strongest work. Get Out, in my opinion, is much stronger, and it's much more my style of film. So, for the rating, I'll give Get Out a 9 out of 10. It's not. It's absolutely great. Not as amazing as the critics say it is, but hey, I could barely find a single flaw with it. So, definitely see it if you can. See you later.